My name is Camila Hart and I'm 35 years old. 8 months ago, my parents told me there was no room for me in their 5-bedroom house after I lost my job. They actually changed the locks while I was out interviewing for another one. And today, those same parents are demanding my house keys, the house I bought with my own money, because my brother deserves it more. They even broke in while I was at work and started measuring rooms for his kids. If you're watching this, please subscribe and tell me where you're tuning in from, because what I'm about to share isn't just about entitled relatives trying to steal what isn't theirs. It's about how I went from sleeping in my car behind a Target parking lot to owning my own home, and how my family's greed led to their public downfall at my grandfather's 88th birthday party. Now then, let me take you back to where it all began. I was working as a senior accountant at Henderson and Lell, 6 years of loyalty, late nights, and doing everything right when the company suddenly filed for bankruptcy. No warning, no severance, just a Friday afternoon email that said, "Don't come back on Monday." I had enough savings to survive maybe 2 months, but the job market was brutal, and rejection emails piled up like unpaid bills. After 3 exhausting weeks, I swallowed my pride and called my parents. "Mom, I hate to ask, but could I stay with you for a few weeks, just until I find something new?" There was a long pause. Then she said almost sweetly, "Oh, honey, you know we'd love to help, but we just don't have the space." I actually laughed. "Mom, you have 5 bedrooms, it's just you and Dad now." "Well," she replied, "your brother Ethan and the kids need somewhere to stay when they visit. Ethan lives 15 minutes away. His visits are Sunday dinners. He owns a 4-bedroom house. 2 of those rooms are filled with gym equipment and storage boxes, but somehow my parents still keep 2 guest rooms just in case he needs them." "What about the basement?" I asked. "I can sleep on the couch." "Oh no," she said quickly. "That's Ethan's space when he visits. You understand, right? Family has to think ahead." I bit my tongue. I was family, or at least I thought I was. 2 days later, I came back from another interview to find a locksmith changing the locks on my apartment door. The landlord said my parents had called, pretending to help, and somehow convinced him I'd already moved out. They'd actually sped up my eviction. That night, I packed what I could fit into my 2006 Subaru Outback and parked behind a Walmart. I stared at the ceiling of my car and wondered how the people who raised me could be so cruel. Living in a car teaches you lessons no one should ever have to learn. How to shower at Planet Fitness at 5 in the morning when no one's around, how to stretch a single jar of peanut butter across 7 days, how to rotate between parking lots so security doesn't notice you're living there. Every morning at 5 o'clock a.m., I'd wake up in that freezing car whispering to myself, "This is temporary, just hold on." My back ached from curling up in the back seat. My work clothes hung off the car handles, wrinkled no matter how carefully I tried to fold them. And still, every day I forced a smile in the mirror of that gym bathroom, trying to look like someone whose life hadn't fallen apart. I'd put on my makeup in the mirror of that gym bathroom, practicing my interview smile, while early morning gym members pretended not to notice my entire collection of toiletries spread across the counter. For 6 months, I worked 3 part-time jobs just to survive: morning shifts at Brewhaven Cafe, data entry in the afternoons, and retail weekends at Harper's department store. 60 hours a week, every penny saved. Rice and beans became my entire diet. I sold everything I owned that had value except my laptop and 1 interview suit. My family was completely silent, except for my sister Lydia, who would occasionally text to ask if I'd found a real job yet, and casually add that her husband Mark had just been promoted again. By the end of 6 months, I had saved $6,500, not enough for a down payment in my city, but enough to keep hope alive. Then December came and my car's heater gave out. I slept in layers, 3 sweaters, 2 jackets, and still woke up to see my breath in the air. One freezing January morning, my phone rang, unknown number. "Miss Hart," a woman said, "this is Anderson and Reed Law Offices. I'm calling about the estate of your grandmother, Margaret Hale." My hands went cold. She continued softly, "I'm sorry for your loss. She passed away 2 weeks ago. My parents never even told me about the funeral. But my grandmother hadn't forgotten me. She left me $25,000 and a handwritten note that said, 'To my independent granddaughter, build something they can never take away.' That inheritance, combined with my savings, was just enough for a down payment on a small 2-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. Nothing fancy, built in the 70s. A little paint, a few repairs, but it had a solid frame, a working furnace, and most importantly, it was mine. Closing day felt unreal. The real estate agent handed me the keys, and I just stood there crying in the middle of an empty living room. After 8 months of parking lots and gym showers, I finally had a door I could lock, a bathroom I didn't have to share, and a kitchen where I could cook real meals. That first night, I slept on an air mattress, staring at the ceiling, my ceiling, and posted a photo on Facebook, a picture of the keys with the caption, "New Chapter." Within an hour, my phone blew up. "Congratulations, sweetheart. When can we come see it? Mom's so proud of you, honey. Send us the address. Dad, oh my God, how did you manage this? Do you even have enough money? Lydia, Mark, and I should stop by soon. That's awesome. The kids will love Aunt Camilla's new place. Ethan, 8 months of silence while I was homeless, and suddenly everyone wanted to reconnect. I should have seen the warning signs, but I was too proud of what I'd built, too hopeful that maybe owning something respectable would finally make me worthy of being family again. So I sent them the address and invited them over for Sunday dinner. I spent my last $80 on groceries to make Mom's favorite beef stew recipe. I set the table with paper plates. I didn't have real ones yet, but I lined them up carefully, trying to make it all look perfect. They arrived 40 minutes late. When they walked in, the first words out of my mother's mouth weren't "congratulations" or "we're proud of you." She looked around and said, "This is way too big for just one person, don't you think?" That first visit set the tone for everything that came after. As I gave them a small tour, my brother Ethan kept measuring rooms with his eyes, murmuring about how his kids' toys would fit perfectly in the second bedroom. My sister Lydia criticized everything: the outdated kitchen, the small bathroom, the lack of central air, while asking invasive questions about my mortgage. "So exactly how much did Grandma leave you?" she asked, running her fingers across my countertop like she was inspecting for dust. "Enough for the down payment," I said, keeping my voice neutral and my answers vague. Dad walked around the house knocking on the walls. "Solid bones," he said. "With a little work, this place could be worth twice as much." Then he called out, "Ethan, you should check out the basement. Perfect for your workout gear." "Dad," I said quietly, "Ethan has his own house." "Yeah, but it's getting cramped with the kids," Ethan replied as he opened my closet doors without asking. "This room would be perfect for my home office. The kids could keep the upstairs at our place." They stayed for 3 hours discussing my house as if I weren't even standing there. Mom even suggested we start hosting family dinners every Sunday since you finally have the space. The same woman who once told me she had no room for me now wanted to take over my dining room every week. When they finally left, Ethan made a joke that didn't sound like one. "Hey, if all this maintenance gets too much, we can always swap. Give the big house to the eldest kid. The children deserve a nice neighborhood like this." Everyone laughed. I forced a smile, but something in my stomach went cold. 2 days later, I scheduled a home security installation. The salesman asked, "Had any break-ins in the area?" "No," I said, "just being cautious." He showed me how the cameras worked, how everything backed up to the cloud. "This model keeps recording even if the power's cut," he explained. I didn't hesitate. I bought the premium package. A few weeks later, the visits became more frequent. My family started showing up unannounced, sometimes when I wasn't even home. I'd come back from work to find small signs they'd been there: a gate left unlatched, footprints in the backyard. Ethan had temporarily stored his kids' bikes in my garage. Lydia had stacked boxes in my basement for just a few days. Those few days quietly turned into weeks, and then came the comments. At every family gathering someone would say it: "Camila doesn't even have a boyfriend. Why does she need 2 bedrooms? It's kind of selfish, don't you think? One person in a family-sized house. Ethan's kids deserve a safer neighborhood like that." The breaking point came one afternoon when I went home early from work, migraine pounding in my head, and found my mother standing in the kitchen copying my house key. "Mom," I asked quietly, "what are you doing?" "Oh, sweetheart," she said, startled, "just making a spare just in case of emergencies. I don't want anyone else to have a copy." She looked genuinely offended. "We're your parents. If something happened to you, we'd need access." I took a breath. "If something happens to me, I can call a locksmith." That night I called James Carter, a friend who worked in real estate law. After I told him everything, he was silent for a moment before saying, "Start documenting everything, Camila. Every visit, every comment, every incident, and tomorrow, change your locks." "Do you really think they'd try something?" he sighed. "People who feel entitled to your success never stop on their own. The only question is how far you'll let them go." The next morning, I changed my locks. The locksmith found clear marks around the keyhole, signs someone had already tried to make a copy. The scratches were fresh. My hands trembled as I signed the receipt. That afternoon my phone rang. It was my mother. "Our keys don't work." I paused. "Keys? What keys?" There was silence. Then her voice turned sharp and cold. "You changed the locks, didn't you?" "My family's locks on my house?" "Yes, I did." Her tone hardened. "We'll see about that." And she hung up. I should have known those weren't empty words. Can you believe it? After everything I'd been through, living in my car, working 3 jobs, saving every cent to buy that house, my own family wanted to take it away. If you've ever dealt with entitled relatives who think they deserve what you've worked for, hit the like button and share your story in the comments. Your support means more than you know, because what happened next was the moment they actually tried to take my home.